Incoming transmission. Incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission. Incoming transmission.
Data connection established. Syncing with host computer.
CU Hall of Gods 2020, and we start off by talking about the one, the only, walking, talking Warchain, Rick Bickle. Rick, what can I say? I don't come here tonight as the rising sun. I come tonight as Junior. And well, there's only one thing to say. Congratulations, brother. You deserve it. You are a measuring stick here in the promo game we all know and love. You have been to other places and won titles. You have been where you wanted to. You have ran your own group. Me and my father was a help in that. But you made that group into what we know today. And we all love it. And then we had the best reunion that you could ask for. When me and Old School and my family drove down to North Carolina to meet Rick and his family. We all started talking. We all started laughing, having a good time. And then me and my father looked at Rick. Where's Warchain? And then we go to the war room where you get in your Warchain outfit and you go 0 to 100 real quick. Because that's how we all know and love the Warchain. He holds nothing back. He is one of the best at this game. Now, Rick, I want to personally congratulate you in your induction tonight in the Hall of Gods. Brother, you deserve it. You are a promo god. So, I give a round of applause for my brother. And now, another union member is going to speak. Again, congratulations, Rick, in your induction. I couldn't be happier to call you family, to call you my brother, to call you union. It's all about you tonight, brother.
Combat Universal. Tonight, I have the honor and the pleasure to talk about one of my best friends in this business. I'm humbled and honored to be here tonight to help induct a man who I think was a pioneer of the promo world. A guy that when I saw him promo, I felt his promos and I knew what he was saying was kayfabe, but at the same time, I felt like, oh my God, he truly hates the guy he's going against. Now, I didn't know who Rick Bickle was when I first started promoing, except other than the Iceman. And yeah, the Iceman, probably my favorite character of all time because of his intensity and his spontaneousness, if you understand that word. Big word for old school. But tonight means a lot to me because not only did I learn to know who Rick Bickle was, I got to meet the Warchain. Because at one time or another, somebody told him, hey, that name is taken by somebody else. You need to change your name. So he innovated. He didn't give up. He didn't quit. He didn't say, screw it, I'm leaving. He came up with the Warchain. Now, one night we were talking on a live, or I was on a live talking, and somehow, some way, Rick messaged me. And we had a common bond that we weren't booked on a show together. And we thought, hey, let's go live and just talk mad shit about all these guys. And I was like, hey, I'm in. And somehow, some way, and I said it in the live, and we never knew what it meant until later on. I said the unholy union, who would have ever thought Old School and Warchains on the same screen at the same time for the same purpose? And listen, folks, that would never stand more true than the rest of the story I'm going to tell you tonight. See, I also got to speak to Rick privately behind the scenes. We got to be pretty good friends, shared family stories. Hell, we shared our life stories with each other. And through thick and thin, we kept beside each other. But then we decided it was time for us to move on to our own organization, starting the Premier Promo Federation. Which, yeah, I know there's a copy out there now today, but it's not the one we started. It's not the original. It's not the one we put our name on. We start this organization, and folks, listen, it was the funnest thing I've done in my life with a best friend of mine, a brother. Things happen in the world of promo. We all know it. The egos, the talking behind the scenes, stuff like that happens. And see, I left my ears, listened for my brain. And I just didn't quite understand that it was just a trick to get me and Rick to go our separate ways. Now, before we did this, we did go to another place that I'm not going to mention, but I will say this. If it wasn't for Rick Bickle, that place and the guy who owned it would have never existed. 3 times that man gave his life soul to that company. One time when I left, he went through a tournament and won the Elite Championship. And then when their champion quit, he went back and took the reins again. And then the 3rd time, he tried to merge the Premier Promo Federation with that group. And well, their egos, because every one of them was pretty much the bottom barrel of talent, knew they couldn't compete. So, with all the hatred in the promo world, things were done to my brother Rick Bickle that just left a bad taste in my mouth. And he reached out to me. And I was getting ready to reach out to him. I could show you guys the screenshots, but I don't have to. But the story tells this, that through thick and thin, no matter what, Rick Bickle, not Warchains, deserves to be in the Hall of Gods. Because I personally am one of the guys who nominated him. I'm honored to have him as my brother. I'm honored to have him as my friend. And once again, we ride together. We die together. Union for life. Myself, Scotty Newland, and my son, Junior Ishler, stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder with Rick Bickle on a daily. We speak daily. And see, that's why I'm here, because I don't want to say thank you to the promo world with too much clout, but thank you to the promo world, because I'd have never met Rick, and I never had a friendship like I have with him today. I don't think I'd be the promo artist I am today without Rick. So many ideas he's given me, thoughts, jabbering in the middle of the night, just coming up with good ideas to make my character better. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have done half of that. Now, for all yous out there that think that, well, Rick has an ego, or Rick is this, or Rick is that, let me tell you how Rick is. He's one of the most genuine dudes I've ever met in my life. Give you the shirt off his back, and that's not just a saying with him. I drove a couple hours to North Carolina to see my friend Rick, my brother. Took my family, we hung out with his family. It was one of the funnest times I've had in a long time. We shot a couple of promos, just goofing around, but we truly had a blast. That time meant the world to me. So tonight, it is my honor and my privilege to be one of the men speaking for the 2020 inductee, Iceman / Warchains, but better known to me as my brother Rick Bickle, into the 2020 Hall of Gods. Rick, you're a deserving dude. You're a great brother. And I couldn't find anybody better in this world but to nominate you for this position, because without you, I don't think I would have ever understood what promoing was all about. And I don't think I'd ever had the balls to do it. So once again, Rick, I'm going to give you a cheers of coffee. Here's to you, my brother. And I thank you for being my brother. I'm honored to know you. I'm honored to have stood with you and stand with you today. And with everything I got in my being, brother, I will be here till the end. Congratulations on your 2020 Hall of Gods. And, well, you know what they say in the union when old school's done talking. Old school's out.
Ladies and gentlemen, first off, I'd like to start by thanking Stephen, Jamie, James, Chris, and the entire administration team here at CU. When this idea was presented, and when it was proposed that I would be the one inducting Rick into the Hall of Gods, man, it was an honor. And then the worry set in. So, if everybody can bear with me a little bit, I want to do my absolute best to give this the justice that it deserves. See, everybody knows the Iceman and the Warchain. They know the on-screen character, the yelling, the intensity, the one-liners, coming at you hard-hitting. But what a lot of people in this game, they don't take the time to know, is the man behind the character. And fortunately, over the last 2.5 years, I have both learned and got to know both very well. November 19th, 2017, WCW tournament, the legend was born. That was the first championship, and that's when the rocket took off. That son of a bitch ain't bothered to come back down yet. We fast forward almost in a year later, over in BTB. We had Phoenix. Everybody knows Phoenix. Everybody's seen it. It was legendary. Most of us wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Phoenix. We fast forward to October 6th of 2018. Old School goes live, and that has been known as the Live of Infamy. That night, you had Old School, and you had the Warchain on one screen. And for almost 3 hours, after almost 500 views and 330 some odd comments, the Union was born. Not out of necessity, just out of sheer organic nature. And it hasn't stopped yet. A few months later, December, the PPF was created. It was a place for people to have opportunities, and it succeeded beyond our wildest imaginations. But then everything finally comes full circle. The opportunity was granted to come to the CU. Bridges were rebuilt, friendships were remended, and everything finally came whole. Now, as I said, with the Warchain character, there's no doubt the greatness of the character itself. That's undeniable. Most people when you get into the promo game, some people want to be Ric Flair. They emulate Ric Flair. They wanted to be The Undertaker. Everybody emulates somebody. But after that live, I kind of saw myself wanting to be a mixture of not only the Warchain, but Old School. I wanted to have that intensity. I wanted to have that ability to tear somebody down. But at the same time, I wanted to have that kind of laid back, sarcastic, kind of don't give a damn montage about myself. And I've tried my best to merge those two into my character. If it wasn't for those characters, if it wasn't for the Union, I wouldn't be here. So for that, I thank those guys. But again, we go back to knowing somebody not only as their character, but behind the scenes. And as that goes, fortunately, I have had the incredible opportunity to not only know Rick personally, but to get to know his wife, his daughter, his mama, his brother. And not only would I hope to emulate those characters on screen, but one day I would really hope that I could emulate being that husband, that father, that son, that brother, and live up to those expectations. You know, there's a lot of people in the world that they kind of need somebody to look up to, and hopefully one day I'll have that opportunity. But you know, they say what is it? Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. I don't know what they really say about a god, but ladies and gentlemen, I have rambled on enough. It is my distinct honor and privilege to finally be able to present the one and only true promo god into the Hall of Gods.
The pain train has arrived. I am a beautiful symphony of pain.
Wow. Look at this guy. So many memories. So many memories. You have to excuse my squeaky floor here. But, wow. CU Hall of Gods 2020 class. And here we are. Here I am. Warchain and Iceman finally being immortalized. You know, I got to tell you, first and foremost, thank you to CU. Thank you to Stevie G. And I'm going to try to thank as many people as humanly possible throughout this speech, as you see some video playing behind me of sort of the evolution of Iceman and Warchain. You know, anytime a group of your peers thinks you're good enough or good at something to the point to where you're inducted into a Hall of Fame or Hall of Gods, it is and should be a humbling experience. And to make no mistake, I am truly humbled. I really am. I know some people may think what we do is silly, but I, for one, do not. It starts out as fun, and it is fun for a lot of people, and it should be. But I was raised, as I tell you the backstory on my life and where I come from, and just how we've gotten to this point, or I've gotten to this point. You know, I want you'll understand a little bit more about me and why I do things the way I do. See, I was raised that if you're going to do something, you do it right or you don't do it at all. And you know, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. That goes without saying. Hell, we all are. And we didn't have a ton of money growing up. We lived okay. Mom and Pops, they made sure we lived okay. But we didn't have a lot of money to do a lot of the extra stuff. Because back then, I don't want to date myself, but back then, things weren't as easily accessible as they are now. But I do remember one particular show that my mother and father took me and my brother Matt. He's 5 years younger than me. They took us to Raleigh, North Carolina, to the Dorton Arena, where we got to see Luger and Sting and, you know, the Man, Ric Flair, Elegante, Flying Brian Pillman, Arn Anderson. I can go on and on and on. And I'll never forget it. It was one of the craziest nights of my life. And me and my brother used to sit on Saturday mornings in front of the TV. Pops would walk by. We'd have our jaws hanging open. I don't think we ever blinked. I know we never blinked. Dad would walk by. What are you doing? Catching flies? Because our mouth would be just hung wide open. That's where it all started for me. And I knew from that day on that I was going to be a professional wrestler. I had it set in my mind. I was going to be a pro wrestler, and I'll be damned if anybody was going to stop me. Well, then I came of age. Around the age of 19, 20 years old, I met an individual, a good friend of mine. His name is Anthony Lerma. We were the same build, same height. He different nationality than I am. Made perfect sense. The Hardy Boys, as y'all know, are they live close by. My wife went to high school with them. We keep in touch. We have over the years. Jeff in particular calls my daughter from time to time when he's out and about and on the road. Run into him at the gas station, grocery store, and on and on. We've always been big fans of these guys being local guys. And at that time, me and my partner, that's what we wanted to do. We saw this tag team called the Hardy Boys, and we thought, how cool was that? Well, of course, inevitably, we started training. A lot of it was self-trained, self-taught. We hooked up with a local promotion, which I won't name for now, and we got our foot in the door. And as we got our foot in the door and started training on weekends and really putting everything we had into it, I slowly but surely started realizing that getting my ass kicked for little to nothing, and I say little, I mean sometimes $10, $15, and a lot of times nothing, just for the thrill of it, and laying in tubs of ice and Epsom salt the next day or that night, there was no future in it. So I had to make a decision that broke my heart. Excuse me. I had to make a decision I've always wanted to be a father. I've always wanted a family. So I had to find a career that had a retirement, that had benefits, that had salary. So such things going on such as the coronavirus right now, you're getting paid whether you're there or not. You accrue sick time, vacation time. You can spend time with your family and then on and on. You get what I'm saying. And I did that. I made that decision. I fell back. I always watched, always kept up again, stayed in touch with Matt, Jeff, Shannon, all them guys. And then one day, after getting married and having a daughter, one day, picking my daughter up from middle school at the time, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I come across this group called WCW, We Collect Wrestling. And they were having a promo challenge tournament. And after hitting the owner up, Dustin King, forever indebted to you, man. Good guy, awesome guy. For those of you who know Dustin King, if you don't, go over and check him out. He's just a super awesome dude. Trust that guy with everything. I hit him up and I asked him, what exactly is going on in WCW? What exactly is the rules? And hell, there weren't many. So I signed up. Hell, I love a challenge. I was raised to meet challenges head on. So I signed up. I created a character. The next thing you know, I was full ass wide open. NWO, Iceman, the whole thing. Because I've always been an NWO head. Always been an NWO fan. Big mark for all of those guys. And as luck would have it, as fate would have it, I ended up in the championship match. At the same weekend that a very dear family member of ours passed away. It was really rough. Ended up having to go through this championship round twice and was able to win both of those matches and come out with my first ever heavyweight championship. And I still have it right over here to my left. Very proud of that moment. And the competition was off the chain, no pun intended. Shout out to Noel DiMaggio. The man is a beast. And I mean that. He's a good dude and he gets down. He don't play. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. But I didn't really like what I had to do to win. I just didn't like where I had to go as a person, as a man, to win that match. So that was my first taste, I guess you could say, of the negativity and understanding what this thing could be if in the wrong hands. Not that it was, but just saying I didn't like my response to it. I didn't like where I had to go. So I sat back. I fell back in the cut. and some time passed. And one night about 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm laid back in my recliner watching TV. And I'm hit up by a guy from another group that I won't mention. And he asked me, he says, "Are you still doing the Iceman thing? Are you still doing your thing?" And I said, "No, I fell back. I'm not really doing that anymore." And he said, "Well, I think you're good at it, and I think you'd really enjoy this group. They said 24/7, belts, real belts, traveling titles, full-time competition. I think you'd really enjoy it." So the next day, I poked my head in, and I really liked what I saw, man. There was a lot of passion. There was a lot of grit and determination. There was a lot of want to, for lack of a better word, if that makes sense. So I signed up, dropped a real generic promo like I do to get people to pounce on you, to get the competition going. Like I said, if you're good at something, you never do it for free, and you don't put it all out there right out the gate, a little bit at a time. The response was overwhelming. It really was. Validation, I guess you could say. Next thing you know, I'm on a top 10 list. Another man was number 2 on that top 10 list. The next thing you know, we're pitted against each other for the heavyweight title, the first ever. And unfortunately, it was a great match, but unfortunately, I didn't win that match. There's a lot of controversy surrounding that match. The truth has come out since then. I won't touch that here because I'm over it. But I learned a lot from that. And from there, towards the end of my run in that organization, I hooked up with another brother from another mother, Chris Hissler, old school. And we formed we had a very organic live that we started. We had a very good idea, both of us together. We had hardly ever talked before that. We go live, we put on a show, and the live was overwhelming. The response, the comments, the views, it was through the roof. We sort of broke the fourth wall a little bit, and we made people believe we were really upset about what we were saying. And in that live, I believe it came from Chris's mouth, the Union was born. One of the most, honestly, dominant factions in the promo world. And I'm very proud to say that faction is still going to this day. There's been a few incarnations of it, but it still lives on, and I'm proud of that fact. But shortly after that, myself and Chris decided to open our own organization. And when we did, it was shortly after me and Chris had a falling out. Brothers argue, brothers fight. He went his way, I went mine. And we had just joined another organization as not owners and started in hot and heavy in there. And then whatever happened, he fell back. And I put everything I had into this organization. I put everything I had in this organization that we owned. And I was very proud to say that we were one of the top promo organizations in the world for a good solid year. I put a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of money, thousands and thousands between myself, Chris. I could go on and on. Haystacks, because later on, Haystacks would become my business partner, and he would go in just as hard, if not harder, than me. But as fate, it seems, is not without a sense of humor. The drama and negativity that follows this promo world everywhere caught up to us. People attacked my marriage. People threatened my career, my family. My job was called. Video was taken without my permission and shared along with pictures of me and my career mashed together. It's solely intended to destroy my career and my personal life. I've yet to figure out why. So again, fate, it seems, is not without a sense of humor in this cruel world we live in. So that place had to go. But in the other place, I'm one of those people, again, I give 110%, if not 1,000%. And I promised myself, I made a promise that I was not going to stop until I made it to the top of that company. And I did. I did. In a week and a half, 2 weeks' time, I went through the entire roster. And in that time frame, I ended up becoming heavyweight champion again, not once, but twice. Again, title's over to my left here. Very near and dear to my heart. But it wasn't long where the negativity reared its ugly head again, and I realized that it was time to step aside. And I bounced from group to group, just helping to stir things up, to really bring notoriety to these groups because I keep hearing the Warchain's name, the Warchain, the Warchain, the Warchain. And I thought, well, if I could, it's my time now. I'm in this period in my career where it's time to give back. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Now I know the Warchain, when he cuts a promo, again, talking about myself in third and fourth person here, but when a Warchain cuts a promo, people tend to get a little agitated because they don't understand. It sounds so realistic that people think I'm being personal when I'm absolutely not being personal. I love what we do. I take it very seriously. I have fun with it, but I don't do anything half-assed. It's just not in my nature. So hopefully I've helped, hopefully more than I've hurt. Warchain's still around, if you haven't noticed. I still got a couple of things left to do, a couple of things up my sleeve, and a couple of goals I'd like to reach before I leave. But to be honored by your peers, for them to tell you you're good enough to be in something called the Hall of Gods. What do you say to that? So I'm going to give a few thanks here. I know I've been long-winded. I'm going to give a few thanks, as many as I possibly can remember. Then I'm going to say a few things, and I'm going to get off here and let you get back to enjoying your night. I want to thank Stevie G. I want to thank David Flores. Regardless of the situation, I want to thank Chris Ishler, my brother. I want to thank Haystacks. Man, without Haystacks, I wouldn't be standing here right now. Fact. In life or in the promo world. Haystacks is truly a ride or die. Chris as well. I want to thank Junior for bringing the spark back into the union, bringing the luster back, the passion. You and Haystacks both. Again, Stevie G. I want to thank Juan Rosario. Hell, I want to thank Jose Bazaldi. And I know he's not here tonight, but I want to thank Angelo. I want to thank Mr. Entertainment, and I'm going to tell you why. Because me and Angelo had one of the most epic matches and build-ups in the history of the promo world. And things happen. Things fall apart. Loyalties die. But facts don't. Angelo is he's a beast as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank him. I want to thank Mark Maggard. I want to thank all the haters. I want to thank all the haters as well as the fans, because without the hate pushing me and lighting the fire under my ass, I wouldn't be here right now. So I want to thank you all. Everybody who's ever clicked, everybody who's ever commented, everybody who's ever subscribed, everybody who's ever shared, everybody who's watched, everybody who has passed the word along, everybody who has both hated and supported me throughout my promo career or personal life. This right here, every one of you have a piece of this. And this is something that'll mean a lot to me for the rest of my life. You have no idea what this means to me. But I'm going to leave you with this. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. But just know I love you all. And if I didn't say your name, don't think I'm not thinking of you, because I am. We're just kind of pressed for time, and I'm already running a little late here. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. I hope you've enjoyed my career. Stay tuned. There may or may not be more to come. Who knows? As Sting would say, and everyone knows I'm a Sting head. Everybody knows I'm a little stinger. Ask my Dukes. She's still got the pictures of the spiked hair and the rat's tail. Hell, she's still got the rat's tail. Word up. She's still got the rat's tail. Do they still say that? Anyway, listen. One thing about the Warchain is for sure is nothing's for sure. Now, I know that may sound cliche, but it's the truth. This promo world, sometimes we hate it, sometimes we love it. And I have days where I hate and love it all at the same time. I have days where I'm done and then I'm back before the night falls. But let me leave you with some advice if I can. Hone your craft. Take it seriously, but don't take it personal. Because once you cross that boundary, there's no turning back. Reputation is everything. We all have weak moments, but try to be respectful. I'm just as damn guilty as anybody else of falling victim to my own anger sometimes. But understand this and listen to me. Understand that you are a promo artist, not a pro wrestler. At least in what we do. And some of you may be pro wrestlers, but not here. In order to act like you're going to have a wrestling match, you're going to get in the ring, there has to be a payoff. So what we do in the promo entertainment world, the promo has to be the payoff. Be creative. Don't be afraid to step outside the box. Hone your craft and put the work in. Take advice. Listen to what others who have been around for a long time are telling you. Because I promise you, if you do that, instead of being an impressionist, you'll be surprised just how far you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with those words. And I appreciate the hell out of this. You'll never know just how much this means to me. So ladies and gentlemen, please take care of one another. God bless. And I'll see you on the flip. Thank you. Oh, you knew it was coming. Keep your panties clean.